Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Samantha's Surprise. Chapter 3, Decorations and Disappointments. On Saturday morning, when their pine cone wreaths were made, Samantha showed Nellie some of the present in her pink hat box. She saved Uncle Card's box until the last. "And this is the best present of all," she said proudly as she handed it to Nellie. Oh, it really is," Nellie agreed. "I know your uncle will like it." "He'll love it," Samantha insisted. "He'll know it's the nicest thing I've ever made anyone." "What are you doing for your grandmother?" Nellie asked. Samantha showed the sweet-smelling sachet she made. "Grandmary says homemade gifts are the best ones because you give yourself when you make them. But I'll have to buy Cornelia's present. That's not enough time to make something really special for her," Samantha said. "I wish I knew what to get." "What about bath salts?" Nellie suggested. "Mrs. Van Sicklen has some in a tall bottle with a fancy glass top." "Yes, bath salts are nice," Samantha agreed. Then she shook her head. "But I don't think bath salts are nice enough for Cornelia." "What about hankies?" Nellie asked. "Well, maybe if they had lace edges," Samantha said hopefully. Then she thought of Cornelia riding in Uncle Guard's automobile, and even hankies with lace edges seemed like a dull sort of a present. "No, Nellie, I need to think of something really special." "Perfume?" Nellie suggested. "That would be special enough, but I don't think I'd have enough money for perfume." Samantha sighed. "Well, I can talk to Jessie later. Maybe she'll know what I should get for Cornelia." "I'm going to get Mrs. Van Sicklen my biggest pine cone wreath," Nellie said. She looked proudly at the wreath she lined up on the floor of Samantha's room. "Do you think she'll like it?" "Of course she will," Samantha assured her friend. "Everyone loves Christmas decorations." She reached under her bed to pull out a cardboard box with decorations written on all four sides, and took out cotton snowman, silk angels, and paper snowflakes she had been making ever since Thanksgiving. "Look what I'm putting up this afternoon," she said. "Samantha, your house is going to look like a fairyland," Nellie exclaimed. "Especially with the snowflakes," Samantha agreed. Later that afternoon, after Nellie had gone home, Samantha suggested her Christmas decoration, lugged her decoration box down the long winding staircase. "I'll trim the banister first," she thought. At the bottom of the stairs, she unpacked a string of cranberries. She was about to wind it around the polishing railing when a strange voice stopped her. "Excuse me, young lady," said a tall, red-haired man. He wore a navy blue uniform almost like a soldier's. The words Farola Forest were on the right pocket. The man set down a large box that held spicy, scented garlands with enormous red bows. He drew a garland out slowly, handling it as delicately as if it were a snake. "Now, if you will just step out of the way, miss," he continued as he began to wrap up the garland gracefully around the banister. "I have some decorations too," Samantha told the man. "I have a cranberry garland. Well, I guess you call it a string of cranberries. It would look quite nice together with—" "Please, miss," the red-haired man sighed. "If you could just stand back and try not to disturb the garland. It's a bit fragile." Samantha stepped back and found herself standing on Hawkins' toes. "Oh, Hawkins, I'm sorry," she said. "That's quite all right, Miss Samantha. Now, if you'll excuse me." Samantha was carrying another box marked Farola Florist into the parlor. Two more large boxes were rolling on the rug. "What's in all these boxes?" asked Samantha. "Holiday ornaments," he said. "Christmas decorations." Samantha saw holly and laurel wreaths and bouquets of Christmas roses, red ones, of course. She counted 4 ropes of ivy, 8 hoops of mistletoe, and 2 miniature trees. One was trimmed with little crab apples, and one was full of tiny oranges. "Your grandmother wishes the house to be in full Yuletide splendor for Miss Cornelia's visit," Hawkins explained. He turned to drape an ivy robe across the mantel, but Samantha could not believe what she was seeing. "But Hawkins, I've already made decorations, lots of them, enough for the whole house." Hawkins was struggling so hard with the ivy that he didn't seem to hear her. Samantha picked up a box full of decorations and walked in the dining room. No one was around, so she took out her fuzzy snowman first. She hung 6 of them from the wall lamps, using green ribbon. 2 more were soon propped up beside the huge meat platter on the china cabinet. 4 snowmen stood together around a pile of pine cones in the center of the table. Using the tiniest drops of glue, Samantha stuck paper snowflakes in the dining room window. She took down a small painting. In its place hung her largest pine cone wreath. The cranberry garland went across the dining room curtains. Samantha had finished. She had sat down to admire her work. The whole room was like a tiny indoor forest with pine cones and red berries. Cotton snowmen peeked out from behind the dark furniture as if they were hiding behind trees. Paper snowflakes seemed to float all the windows. It's beautiful, Samantha thought. It's like a winter wonderland, and I did it all by myself. Someone gasped. Sakes alive, what's this nonsense? It was Elsa. The maid went straight to the windows and began tearing off Samantha's snowflakes. It's not as if a body didn't have enough to do. Well, the washing and dusting and polishing, Elsa muttered. And now I have to put up with all this holiday hoopla. Whatever made the child set all those Dutch catchers around? Samantha jumped out of her chair. They're not dust catchers. They're snowflakes and cranberry garlands and snowmen. And I made them. Elsa was speechless for a moment. Then she said firmly, Mrs. Hawkins and a young florist gentleman are decorating the house now just as your grandmother wished. Fine and fancy for Miss Cornelia's visit. So it's no use trying to tell me about your snow mice. Snowmen. Samantha sniffed, scooped up the decoration that Elsa had piled on the floor. Whatever, Elsa said. Run along now. I've got the devil's work dusting the chandelier. Miss Cornelia will be here for Christmas dinner, and it's got a sparkle. You'd think it was Cornelia Day, not Christmas Day, Samantha grumbled, almost loud enough for Elsa to hear. She went to the kitchen. Maybe a visit with Mrs. Hawkins would cheer her up. The kitchen was perfumed with delicious smells. 2 mince pies and a pound cake had just come out of the oven. They were homemade peppermint drops cooling on the table. At the sink, Mrs. Hawkins was pouring a quince jam into glass jars. Her face was as red as the cranberry sauce that bubbled on the stove. Samantha sat down at the table and popped one of the peppermint drops in their mouth. You know, Mrs. Hawkins, she said, I just thought of a good idea. There was no answer. Mrs. Hawkins? Yes, dear, Mrs. Hawkins replied, not looking up from her jam. I said I just thought of something. What's that? Well, we could cover the walls of the gingerbread house with peppermint drops, and it would look like a magic candy house, like the candy house in Hansel and Gretel. Samantha, Mrs. Hawkins held a sigh. I know you'll be disappointed, but I don't see how we can make that gingerbread house after all. With the Armed Guard's friend coming and your grandmother wanting everything so special for her, there's a tremendous lot of cooking to be done. There's no time for a gingerbread house this year. Not any gingerbread house? Samantha asked with disbelief. Not even a little one? Not even a little one, Samantha. Truly, I'm sorry, but I think you're old enough to understand. Yes, I understand, Miss Hawkins, said Samantha sadly. I really do. She left the kitchen mumbling. I understand that if Cornelia weren't coming, everything would be fine. She picked up her box of decorations and held it up to the stairway. The corner of the box bumped and the garland on the banister and knocked a bow crooked. Samantha didn't straighten it. In her room, Samantha unpacked her decorations again. I'll put them up here, she said to herself. If everyone thinks snowflakes are a bother, then they can stay out of my room. She noticed that 2 of her best snowflakes had been ruined and decided to make new ones. She went to her desk to hunt for a pair of scissors. Why is everyone making such a fuss over Cornelia? Samantha asked herself as she unfolded a piece of paper. There's nothing special about her. Nothing special at all. I don't even know why I'm bothering to worry about her Christmas present. I'll just give her hankies for Christmas. Plain, boring, line-the-box hankies. There was a knock on Samantha's door. She opened it to find Grandmary standing there. Samantha, dear, your Uncle Guard has just telephoned to say that he and Cornelia will arrive late Thursday afternoon. We must welcome Cornelia properly, so I'm afraid that you going to a party that evening is out of the questions. You will need to send Ida Dean your regrets. Oh, Grandmary, no, Samantha cried. Grandmary's face said it was useless to argue, and to be sure, she added, It's the polite thing to do, Samantha. She said it kindly, but Samantha knew she didn't expect to say it again. Stupid Cornelia has ruined Christmas, Samantha thought. She's ruining it for everybody. Mostly she's ruining it for me. I'm not allowed to decorate my house, and I can't make a gingerbread house either. Now I can't go to Ida's party. She won't be able to play charades or see magic tricks or wear my beautiful new dress. I hate Cornelia, Samantha said when she was sure Grandmary couldn't hear her. Slowly, hot tears began to roll down her cheeks. I'm glad I don't have any money to buy her perfume. I won't buy her handkerchiefs either. I won't give Cornelia bath salts and pay her back. In fact, I won't give her anything at all for Christmas. The tears came faster, and Samantha began to sob. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.